What's up, everybody? I'm Adam Knox, former pro surfer and professional surf coach. I'm here with one of my favorite people and favorite surfers, Jeremy Ryan. Thanks for hanging out, dude. It's been fun. Been fun surfing with you the last couple of days. Thanks for getting me off the couch and back into the water. Literally been 10 months. That's
crazy.
Yeah.
No, that was a good little couple of days of waves.
Yeah.
I'm stoked. I mean, we had that flat spot for like a month, so we needed that.
I wouldn't even know. If it was flat or not. I heard about one big swell, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So when it comes to coaching and my job and all that stuff, I did 10 years of pro surfing, and then I went to 10 years of coaching. That's a lot of surfing,
For
you
sure,
know. So,
for sure.
but I'm the one that's always breaking things down for people now, and I'm always telling them like, okay, you should be doing this. And
there you go.
I've worked with some older pros for the U.S. Open, like Luel Felipe for the U.S. Open, and guys like that, where it's actually really fun to coach because like when you and I talk, it's like a sounding board. We can kind of help each other out, and it's always kind of easier when you say from like another perspective to it's pretty hard to coach yourself or even judge yourself.
Oh, for sure.
All the time. So,
yeah.
So anyways, I just wanted to sit down with you and get your thoughts on how you do what you do, because there's a lot of things that you have that really separate the good guys from the great guys, and you're underground, but I want to know about everything, so we should delve into it and see what's going on.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I'm stoked to be working with you. Like we were talking before yesterday, I remember when we worked together, when you're helping me just get more surf fit, because I always surfed, but I was never really trained to surf.
Right.
My surfing was my training. So it was cool to link up with you with the check training and all that stuff that I never had done. And I'd seen Taylor do it before, but I never really knew anyone that was teaching it. So it was cool when we started doing that. And and like I was saying before, it was at first it was working, but I felt like my body, like we were saying, wasn't catching up.
Right.
Like my body was kind of thrown off because I was targeting different muscles in a different way, like the quick twitch stuff.
Right.
So it was so cool. Once it caught up, because I think we did about 3 weeks, a month before I got the injury.
Probably.
And
we trained a bit in Ventura, and then you came down and trained in San Diego.
So I had that, and then I had that injury where that ended it for a while.
Right.
And but I remember right before that injury, I was just I just felt so on point.
Yeah.
And so.
But you felt worse before you got better.
The first week or so,
crazy.
I was kind of questioning, is this working? And then but I'm like, no, it has to work. Everybody's, the top guys are doing this. So then I kept doing it, and then I remember it just clicked one day, and then from then on, I just felt so strong. It was really cool. It was eye-opening to see how that when you change your body composition and target different muscles, once they turn on. Right. It's pretty cool how that. So it's great. Talking to you now after all that time, because it's been how many years since we
I don't know,
because that was a
years
while.
Been going by pretty quick.
3 years I think since we did that work.
Probably 3 years. Yeah.
So,
yeah, well, it makes sense though. As we started training, you felt like you started to dip off. It's because you're so trained surf specifically just by surfing. When you started using other muscles and stuff, it kind of started throwing off the balance of everything. Because when you get up and you set, your hands and your legs and everything like that, you're strong in that stacked position.
Right.
we're trying to get you out of that. So if you want to be strong in everything,
Right.
and then when you go to that, you're even stronger and faster.
Right.
But you were so strong in that position, and that's why you do what you do so well.
Right.
So with your style and just technique and everything, it's because of that, right? But if you were to take it away, yeah, you might fall back a little bit as you're training other muscles because they're antagonists. There's some muscles that do certain things, and there's some that do it in like the reverse, like the antagonist to the protagonist, everything. So
pulling on different
parts, so
you
but once you start getting it going, then the mind to body is quicker and faster and stuff. But I can see that falling off. But anyways, so I want to get into it with some questions. So when I think of style and kind of perfection in surfing, I think of like Rob Machado, my brother, Kalani, guys like that. And then when it comes to like guys like you that are kind of underground, I don't really know anybody that has what they have like you. Can you tell me what's going on there?
Well, thank you to be in that classification, but no, I mean, I don't really. I just kind of do it, what feels natural with my surfing. And I mean, I guess when I was younger, obviously all I did was watch Taylor Steele movies.
Yeah, that's gonna be my next question. I was like, all right, well then who did you idolize? Because you're copying somebody. I mean, who was it?
I mean, so my beginning was, I started surfing. I found the love for it, and then I knew I wanted to do that for the rest of my life, right? And I wanted to be professional. So for me, not having anyone to help me, all I had was surf movies, right?
A lot of us.
Just like we all did, right?
That's all we had.
And then when Taylor Steele came in, he came in with the right music, the stuff that I like to listen to. He came in with the top guys surfing waves that weren't good. Like, it was like around here, so I could relate to it instead of watching like Perfect Indo or Hawaii. It like doesn't make sense, right? So I started watching it, but what I did was, and this is I think where this changes from a lot of my friends that I grew up with, that we all started at the same time. There was like a group of 6 of us, and we all were watching videos. But the thing I was doing was I was studying them, to every little aspect of it. So I would, for instance, like Kalani or Machado, I would just watch his part in slow motion for hours. Like, I would just stare at, and I would look at the intricacy. I would look at the transition. I would look at where his arm is when he's coming off the top, as opposed to like the finishing part. Like, I would look at all the things between,
all the little things. So
in between. And so I think just by doing that over the years, whatever I picked up, it was just a little bit from everybody, because I didn't have like a specific. I mean, obviously Kelly, because he was just so good,
but all right, so that's what's strange to me. So Kelly, to me, doesn't have what Taylor has, or Kalani, or Rob, or any of those guys. To me, Kelly's style isn't, he may be the best competitor, best surfer, like maybe GOAT, but I mean, he does a lot of like arm flares, and he's not as tucked, and he's not as perfect, and maybe that's kind of genius to his surfing. But when you think of like perfect surfing, you think of like Taylor, you think of Kalani, they're just sick style, and they don't really break form where Kelly breaks form. So
I agree with that. I feel like back in the day when he was younger, when he was first winning world titles, I think with his boards a little longer and had a little more drive, I feel like he had less of the movement. I feel like now with the smaller boards, he kind of has to. And I notice that in myself when I ride a smaller board. I feel like I'm doing a little more gyration to keep the flow, especially now I'm riding epoxy, right, as opposed to like flowing through with the poly. But yeah, I mean, I agree.
Well, you see Kelly doing double pumps in his bottom turns, and you would never see that from like Rob or my brother or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's
and Kelly,
true.
Double pumps, and he lifts up too, where he's like almost in a standing position a lot.
Yeah. Where
you never see that, and with you, you're so comfortable in that low position. This is what I tell all my guys that I work with. I'm like, dude, get comfortable in that uncomfortable position to where it's comfortable.
Right.
So when you get up, I was watching clips yesterday, and I figured out what it was that like sets you apart from everything. And roll the clip.
We'll do that.
about. So if you look at Dane and whomever, right? Dane does it. Dane Reynolds got it. Kelly's got it. It's all about the flat back, right? The hinging part.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, your knee comes up. Like I can't even go past this. Your knee is like touching your chest through pretty much most of the things you do, and you have so much like dexterity, I guess, in like the hip joint as well. Fuck, dude, it's crazy. And I showed Josh last night. I'm like, dude, this is what it is. Because if you look at me and Chad, like when I'm like in form and stuff, like I'll be lucky to get my front leg parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Yours is coming up, at like it has like a 40-degree.
Okay.
More like up here, and you can see everything moving around. And dude, if you're that stacked, that's a loaded spring.
Mm-hmm.
You're so loaded up, you can generate so much speed. So also like when you surf with you in person, you have the speed of those pros as well.
Mm.
And that's what it's from. It's from being able to stack that. Like you're stacked up, and then with everything being like that, and your arms are perfect, and where you're looking is all spot on. But really, like the thing that sets everybody apart, and watch this now, like you'll see it in other people, and watch when I surf. Like what looks bad about me and doesn't look professional, is that this is maybe like flat. And or just...
You're talking about your front leg or both legs?
Front leg.
Okay.
Back leg, I can get my back leg down into the ground like this, right?
You sit down into it.
But this is about as far as I go. Where you would be up here.
That's interesting.
And if you look at Taylor, you look at Dane, like when Dane goes like this, he goes a high line, his knee's by his face, and he goes, whoa! Yeah. And he gets more speed off the bottom than anyone in the world.
Right.
He goes, whoa, whoa, wham! And that's how he's able to whip and throw things into the flats and all that stuff. He has so much from off the bottom. It's crazy.
Right.
And it has to do with being like the most loaded you can be, like most compressed spring ever, right? I'm like a spring that's compressed this much. You're a spring that's compressed completely.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference between that. So is that something that you worked on, or is that something you just go, okay, that guy's style is sick, how do I get into that position? Is it, what was the... is there anything behind that? Is that conscious, or is it...
It's kind of funny that you like mentioned it, because